Hello, Whatnuts, Humpty Dump Nuts, birthday boys, and whomever else. It is Tuesday, June 25th in the United States of America, as well as Canada, and wherever you get your podcasts. And it is What Chaos, presented by Prize Picks Daily Fantasy Sports Made Easy. My name is David Bean. That is the birthday boy, Sean DePaz.
Happy birthday, Sean.
And that is a somebody stealing valor. Because Pete Blackburn here says it's his birthday as well.
I didn't say it. You said it.
That is true.
He was gabbing before. He was saying, "Don't forget to say it's my birthday."
I didn't say that.
I'm pretty sure he snuck a cake into the fridge in
I
case
think
we
you
wanted to
misheard
surprise
me.
him.
I think you misheard me. I said, "Don't forget to say happy birthday, Sean."
Happy birthday, Sean.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eli.
I'm 74 now.
74?
Yeah.
Tell you what, I was 74 last night in Jersey.
Yeah, you were.
Because I was the only Stu jersey there. By the way, I saw a lot of.
Really?
There were so many Hebrew Hyman jerseys. Talked to one of the guys wearing it. It was like, yo, like one person owned this, and he was like, oh no, Oilers fans here got a bajillion of these things. Amazing. Season is over. Florida Panthers Stanley Cup champions. Perhaps you have seen the video that we put up. It was an unscheduled chaos episode. At 2 a.m. we recorded it. Sean got it up at 4 a.m. Absolute legend. Conn Smythe, our hero. We love him so much. But
yeah, that video we announced that the Panthers had won the cup.
We announced secondhand through the guy who had called his friend to let them know that the Panthers had won the Stanley Cup.
We heard from a source, a guy on a phone telling his friend that the Panthers won the cup, and then as diligent reporters, we followed up by relaying it to everybody else.
Best moment, best scene, and this could be the episode where we have clearer heads and are running less on fumes because we're able to get a little sleep. I am way more tired now than I was right after the game last night. At least after the game, there was some adrenaline would be the wrong word. I feel like I was getting like hit by a defibrillator every now and then because I kept remembering what happened and getting sad again. And then I was like, oh shit, look, it's a Stanley Cup. Fuck, I'm sad again. Oh my God, it's this guy that used to play for whatever team. Hey, it's fucking Sean, whatever.
I was totally fine last night. Like I wasn't as emotionally invested in that game as you were. So post game, I was feeling good. Obviously, the vibes and the energy that comes from being on the ice, seeing the game, having all the fans, like it gives you a real strong second wind. And then you look at the clock when you get back to the hotel and it's like 4 a.m. And we did not go out. We did not drink.
No.
Like no beers, nothing. Just came back to the hotel, 4 a.m. And then I went to CBS, did CBS at like 8 a.m. this morning. Just no coffee, raw dogged a TV hit. I feel awful, but nobody cares. Incredible finish to an incredible season. We are very, very lucky.
Last thing I'll say on that, and probably not last thing, we'll just end up keep gabbing and getting back to whatever we want to talk about. But just kidding, we love you. On the ice after, one of our friends was like, we were talking, just like, this is incredible, amazing. And then one of our friends was like, elbow room after this. And I looked him dead in the face and I said, go fuck yourself. I am absolutely not going anywhere after this. I don't even know if I'm going to make it to fucking bed. And yeah, maybe my definition of partying these days is a little different than it was as a younger man, but still, no. Well, we parachuted in, like for real parachuted in. Combined, we've been to 3 cup final games, 3 playoff games, really. total.
That's
And
4 playoff games.
Like a Boston thing here and
Yeah.
there or whatever. We've done nothing as far as boots
I
on the
know.
ground. We've been boots in the studio. We've been boots on the web, which is amazing. And it's been an absolute friggin' blast doing it with all of you. But boy, at the end of this quote unquote cup run, I was like, I've been on the road for 5 years straight right now. You think I'm going out after this? You have fun.
The reporters that have been and media that have been doing this like wire to wire, and some of them even in previous rounds, like God bless them. And I know that people who aren't in the media don't care about media travel stuff and how busy it is, but holy shit, like some of those people haven't seen their families in weeks and weeks and weeks, and it does take a lot out of you. And even being here for like 2 days, it's crazy. It's nonstop. But I'm very glad that we came here. Being able to be on the ice last night was awesome, even if it was with the team that we probably weren't rooting for.
Our numbers are going to fucking suck ass for the entire summer because of this cup final.
I was rooting for the Florida Panthers.
Were you really?
In my soul, I felt that I was happy that the Florida Panthers won.
Well, you were being a coward about it because you didn't say shit.
Well, I
No,
don't think
Sean,
you were wearing it on your
Sean,
face.
you were not rooting for. I know that you were not rooting for the Oilers, so I assumed you were rooting for the Panthers.
I didn't really like know how I felt until it happened, and then and it was probably a product of like being on the ice and being around all the guys who were obviously very emotional. I was like, this is awesome. Especially
You don't think
guys
they would have
like
been
Reinhart.
emotional if it was the Oilers?
No, but like seeing Reinhart and Oposo, like guys that have been pretty important to me as a Sabres fan, like I was happy to see them win. And it was also like, I think because we were in Florida, I was just like, caught up in
that part of
emotion.
it is very cool. Obviously, the last few Cup winners have been on the road. Winning at home is awesome, and it was really cool to be in the building for the home team. It was really cool to get that moment from Florida. We've done a lot of, hey, don't market shame. Obviously, Edmonton is fucking crazy. They've shown out. They've been an incredible story these playoffs. And really, like, Edmonton has shown me something in terms of how loyal they are to the Oil. But also, Florida has shown me a lot. And especially in Game 7, that atmosphere was electric. We talked about it on last night's episode, but like that building was awesome. We saw a lot of tears. We saw a lot of hugs. Like a lot of those Panthers fans have been through some shit and been through some dark times and been punching bags for the rest of the league. That felt like a very cathartic experience for a whole lot of them. And then being down on ice level while everybody was celebrating and passing the cup around and all that, there was a ton of fans on the glass for a long time during that whole thing, which is a super cool element of it. So Panthers fans really showed out last night, and I'm happy for them.
Now I'll say this, not to push back on that. Love you, Panthers fans. It would have been like that no matter where it was. The cup that people stay when the cup is awarded, even if it's the away team and it's the most hated thing in the world, like that fucking thing, that trophy is the most magnetic thing in the world, and the way that people are pulled to it.
We were down there for like 2 hours, and they were still like a real big group of people.
Oh yeah,
down
no,
there on the glass.
I thought that the fans were amazing last night, and that was said it last night. It was just the immediate thought that hit me, which was I had kind of deduced with 20 seconds left the Oilers weren't going to win the game, and I was like emotionally going through it and everything. But like when the first thing you see is fathers and sons hugging and parents and old people hugging and everything, I will say, not to brag, I fucking cleaned up on hugs last night. People were hugging me left and right. They saw that fucking sad Oilers fan and they were so nice. God bless Panthers fans. They were very respectful. That was all cool. And meanwhile, the party is on in Florida, because whether you're just going to Starbucks to get some coffee or you're on the beach, people are partying. People are having a great time. Even people at work. I had a nice conversation with a barista who was like, man, I told him that I was here for the Oilers, and he was like, man, so much respect for that team. I've been rooting for the Panthers, though, for so long, and my friends and like all this stuff. And it's very hard not to be happy when a genuine fan of somebody gets to experience joy. Even musical artists that are not my cup of tea, I always say I'm glad they exist for the sake of the people that really like them. And the people that like the Panthers fucking like the Panthers, man. We've said for a while, like, we're not making it up. People, you can discuss that the number isn't as high, but the number was high enough for last night to be crazy, even with a lot of Oilers fans there.
And like you can tell that they won last night here today, which is like a dumb thing to say on the surface, but I feel like sometimes when a team wins in a non-traditional market, you can go to work the next day and like not even fucking know unless you talk to somebody who really loves the team. Like I was in the car this morning and that's all they were talking about on the radio. It wasn't a sports station. It was just like a music station. Even, at Starbucks, people talking about it. Like, and the guy at Starbucks too made a good point that I hadn't really thought about. In that, like, yeah, the Panthers had some really lean years and tough years in which they failed to draw, but also, like, a lot of fans do get born out of those times, and because, like, tickets are so accessible and affordable, and that's how people get into the building, and, like, that's how I really kind of developed my love for hockey, even in Boston. Like, when I was in middle school and high school, team wasn't that good, and the tickets they had student night tickets and they were like $12, and as a kid in high school you don't have a lot of options to go do stuff with your friends unless you want to go to the mall every week. So he's just started going to Bruins games like twice a month, and that's how I developed a love of hockey. And I guarantee a lot of Panthers fans got into the Panthers and became serious Panthers fans just by getting into the building for a pretty cheap entertainment option.
Yeah, he said the barista said that they gave away Panthers tickets at the dentist office when he was in high school. So he and his friends would just go to Panthers games, and bad years can breed some fans. That's also just, it's weird, but I feel like a kind of common thing where maybe it's just like a ground floor feeling or something, but like going through bad stuff and going through like, Jesus, can this get any worse with the team is what can hook a lot of people. It's like the year that I really got into the Boston Celtics was 2007, which was a year that they were extremely tanking. And it was so funny, the various things that they would trot out. And even when they weren't trying to tank, like their only good player would get injured, and then they'd be like, all right, let's leave this. Maybe this guy's injured for a very long time. And it was just a comedy of errors. It was a comedy of like, what are they doing? Come on. And for some reason, going through stuff like that makes it unbelievable. I mean, it's the highs and lows of life. Like, I would never not want to. Well, if somebody could say like you could never feel sadness, I'd be like, oh, fuck that. Like, I'd miss it because I'm so used to it. But also, like, good times feel great when you know what bad times are.
And like the cup celebration is always awesome, but I don't know, like there was something like a little empty to me last year with Vegas, just because Vegas has always been around. They haven't had many hard years. Like they lost the Stanley Cup final in the first year, and like I'm not trying to dump on
It took
Vegas
them a couple
right
of years
now.
to figure out how to circumvent the cap.
That's
Those were
true.
some tough years.
Yeah, that was
they went to the cup final in that
real
first
learning
one,
period.
Yeah.
But yeah, like one of my favorite cup celebrations, maybe of my lifetime. I guess my two favorite of my lifetime that weren't the Bruins. Ray Bourque, because he had to put in his fucking due and years, and obviously had a Bruins tie to him. But also Ovi, like when Ovi won the cup with Washington, for me, like I cried watching that happen. And I'm not a Caps fan. I'm not a diehard Ovi fan, but Ovi is important to me for a hockey fan of my age, and being able to watch him and see like a true great, and watch how many times he failed and how much blame was placed at his feet. That stuff does add up. And then when you finally do win one, even from a neutral standpoint, it's incredible and it's emotional. And, seeing Florida and kind of, again, like the cathartic experience that was them winning the cup, and on the heels of losing last year, you could feel it. It was cool.
I want to talk about the Conn Smythe because it was won, of course, by the great Connor McDavid. He did not come out to receive it, which, as we discussed last night, I was maybe more pro the behavior of not receiving it than the other two of you, but I think that are all very understanding of why the captain of the losing team would rather be with his teammates and also maybe rather not look at ice for a little while after losing in the fashion that he did. But he did win the Conn Smythe, and we do learn now the voting of it. And there were, I believe,
ballots are crazy.
I believe there were 14 votes, 14 voters. I believe they were Jonathan Bernier, Per German, Ryan S. Clark, Josh Clipperton, Luke Fox, Francois Gagnon, Colby Guy, Chris Johnston, Emily Kaplan, Pierre LeBrun, Jim Matheson, Jordan McPherson, Daniel Nugent-Bowman, Michael Russo, Frank Saravalli, Mark Spector, and Stephen Wino. So obviously a lot of those are names that you know. A lot of those are people who are on this show. A lot of those are friends of ours. 13 of the 14, if I got my math right, all but one voted Connor McDavid with their first vote. Before we get into the other vote, because I don't want to shame too hard, but I want to shame a bit, what do we think of Connor McDavid not only winning the Conn Smythe, but winning the absolute shit out of the Conn Smythe?
I mean, I think that we covered it pretty in depth. Like, it was his once it got to Game 6. Once it got to Game 6, the deeper the series went, it was going to be Connor McDavid's based off of the pure absurdity of the numbers that were stockpiled. Obviously, in hindsight with Game 6 and Game 7 and how quiet he was in those two games, like, maybe it weakens the case a little bit, but it was already locked up. Like, I don't think you could have really gone any other direction when considering that it is the playoffs-wide MVP and not the final MVP.
Sean, how do you feel about the near unanimous Conn Smythe for Connor McDavid?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue otherwise. Honestly, like, the other votes, like the second and third place votes, are far more interesting to me than the first
Exactly,
place votes.
yeah.
Jim Matheson going
Jim
Hyman.
Matheson, I mean, what are we? What's happening?
All right, Jim
there?
Matheson had Connor McDavid, Zach Hyman, and Evan Bouchard as his 1, 2, and 3.
Granted,
not biased at all.
Bouchard got votes. This is the only vote that Zach Hyman got.
In second place, I also think
That's one of
worth
two
pointing
votes for
out.
Bouchard.
Worth pointing out, Mark Spector and Francois Gagnon, Stu Skinner,
Yeah.
Stu Skinner getting Conn Smythe votes, and I'm not saying it with that inflection as like get a load of this shit, but get a load of the fact that Stu Skinner was impressive enough down the stretch in these playoffs as a guy who got benched in the Vancouver series and a guy who entered this playoff run as people being like, yo, he is a puddle in the playoffs. That is Conn Smythe Award vote getter Stu Skinner to you, motherfuckers.
Pete, wow, that was great. That is Conn Smythe vote getter. Fuck yeah, amazing. And maybe they saw that I had placed the DFS on him, and they were like, you know what, people are talking about this Skinner guy. I'm gonna have to keep an eye on him this postseason. I'm busy the first couple of rounds, but I'm going to if they get to the Western Conference Final, or if they get to a Game 6 of the second round, I'm gonna start checking his team out.
Worth pointing out, I wouldn't have voted for him in the top 3, but I'm glad he got votes.
Absolutely cannot have a top 3 vote just because like the numbers weren't there overall. If you take away 3 bad games, then they're great. But if you take away 3 bad games from anybody, if you take away the last 2 games of Connor McDavid's, he's like the greatest postseason ever, or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about. I hate to talk about the voter or whatever, so let's leave out of it. It was Ryan S. Clark from ESPN, who we like a lot.
God.
I mean, it's just it says his name there.
I was gonna say the audio listeners were gonna be like, "What the fuck? Why do you say fuck me for?"
No,
Okay.
I love Ryan.
Of
S. Clark,
course,
by the way.
Ryan.
He's great.
Ryan is awesome, outstanding. I have major problems with his behavior. His ballot went Sergei Bobrovsky first, Connor McDavid second, Alexander Barkov third. I would respect this ballot if it went Sergei Bobrovsky first, Sasha Barkov, second, Gus Forsling, whoever you want, third. The only reason in my mind to not have Connor McDavid first is that you, on principle, believe that a losing player should not win the Conn Smythe.
I disagree
if that
with
is
that.
your belief, hold on. If that
Okay.
is your belief, I'll respect it. I'll disagree with it, but that's your belief. That he cast this vote, giving McDavid his second place vote, says he thinks he qualifies for it, yet he feels somebody else was more valuable over the course of this run. Disqualify him if you want, but don't vote him second.
No, so I disagree with what you're saying just because I can understand the mind of somebody who sees how Game 7 went. And the recency bias is crazy there, but how Game 6 and 7 went from McDavid and how quiet he was in the final 2 games, even though the Oilers won Game 6, he finished that series with a complete whimper. And in a Game 7 where he was not only neutralized, I'll say Connor McDavid was bad in Game 7. And yeah, it's super, super recency bias. And I keep hammering home, this is a playoffs wide MVP award by definition. But if you're voting on with a lot of recency bias on the final, which a lot of people do, obviously, it happens all the time. If you're casting that vote with how quiet McDavid was in Games 6 and 7, I can understand the mind of a voter who would put him second.
I honestly don't have a problem with the ballot because I don't have a problem with believing that that a loser shouldn't win it, but also, like, second place vote doesn't mean anything. So it's like a tip of the cap. Like, I acknowledge what you did, Connor McDavid, but you lost. And as I pointed out last night, you can make the argument that Connor McDavid was ghost in 4 of the 7 games of this series. Because after Game 2, we were talking about how he needed to step up. He didn't have any points in Game 6, and he was bad last night.
I mean, he did most of his work in 2 games and got 8 points. And I mean, first player to ever get 8 points in 2 Stanley Cup final games. But yeah, it's a good point. He was quiet for more of the series than he was active.
I'm respecting the tip of the cap more if it's coming via a third place vote. If you're saying, like, look, I don't think you should get, again, like, I feel better about, and this is if you're given the opportunity to vote for something, it is very important that you vote how you feel and that you make up your own rules and do whatever you want. So I say that as a citizen of the earth. God bless you, Ryan Clark. Vote how you want to vote. I don't want to get into the, like, this is how you're supposed to vote. I'm saying I can wrap my head around disqualifying a player from the losing team. I can't wrap my head around as much saying this guy shouldn't win because he's on the losing team, but I'll let him come in second.
But I am a firm believer that the most valuable player award should go to the player that is most valuable, not the best, the most valuable. This result does not happen without Sergei Bobrovsky.
That's a very good
Without
point.
Connor McDavid, you know what the Oilers are? Still not Stanley Cup champions.
Oh, that's so lame. That's like, when you play poker, do you
Never
think
played
of the
poker.
Okay, so I used to do this. It would drive my friends crazy. If somebody went all in and nobody else had called them, I would call them no matter what I had, and people would say, "What are you doing?" And I would say, "I have a 50-50 chance of winning this hand." And they would say, "You do not have a 50-50 chance of winning this hand. It depends on the circumstances, the cards, how they're going to fall." And I would say, "No,
I either win or I don't.
I am going to win this hand or I'm going to lose this hand. This is one of the 2 options." So saying that, well, they're still not Stanley Cup champions if they don't have Connor McDavid.
So
they are not out of the second round if they don't have Connor McDavid.
Yeah, which
like,
is why I think he deserves a second place vote.
Can I clarify? So you are of the belief that a player on a losing team cannot win the Conn Smythe?
Kinda.
But you said you agreed, but you said you had no problem with that?
I mean, the thing with like, I understand him winning. I don't really have a problem with it. But like, if I was a voter, I probably would not be voting for Connor McDavid. I don't have a problem with him winning, but
Well, I just
And I'm
like, I
also
need
gonna-
to point out the flawed logic in saying that, like, you're okay with a player on the losing team winning the Conn Smythe, but then saying if he can't win, a guy can't win an award because if you took him off the team, his team would still be not Stanley Cup champions.
No, I mean, it was, I guess, simplifying the thought process behind it. But like, without Connor McDavid, they're certainly not Western Conference champions. So like, he's obviously valuable to them. But if we're gonna sit here and be like, Sergei Bobrovsky stole game 1, and then this game went to 7 games, Sergei Bobrovsky is the single most valuable piece in the Florida Panthers becoming
Was
Stanley Cup
Sergei
champions.
Bobrovsky part of it going to 7 games though?
Yes.
Yeah,
Of course.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, because if he didn't win game 1,
Right.
The series
lose earlier.
It's a double-edged sword.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's part of it being extended derogatory, and he's part of it.
But
also,
but
weren't we-
like on the pie chart of like the reason that it went 7 against Florida, he's sharing a whole lot of that pie. But for the reason that it wasn't over for Florida after 6, it is like 95 to 97% Sergei Bobrovsky as to why they won some of the games that maybe they shouldn't have.
And I'm happy as a clam for Sergei Bobrovsky.
Same.
I said going in I would be. I am right now. That's the best. But I'm still going to do this game right now for a second. They wouldn't have won without Sergei Bobrovsky, says Sean, which you can often do that with like a lot of players. I'm just going to give you some other goalies in this postseason. And let's just ask ourselves if they
Swap
could
them
have
out.
won this series with this goaltender instead. Igor Shesterkin. Yeah.
Yes.
Jeremy Swayman.
Yes.
Yeah. Jake Ottinger, flip a coin. Stu Skinner, flip a coin.
I
There's
don't even know. I don't know. If,
Ottinger.
I love Stu. I don't know if.
But-
like, I don't think they win game 1 with Stu.
Stu was better in this series than Bob was.
this hypothetical.
Collectively, yes, but like what we mentioned at the beginning of the series is that Bob's ceiling is higher than Stu's, and Bob can like really take over games.
The hypothetical doesn't mean anything to me though, because we know what happened.
Right. Yeah.
And we
I think it's a tough game to
that
play.
Sergei Bobrovsky stole game 1, and without that, they don't win this series because we know how the other games went.
Do you think that he stole game 7?
He was so good. I wouldn't say
he was
stole
pretty
it.
good. I think there was obviously a little bit of luck involved because there was a couple of situations where he was like starfishing on his back in the crease and the puck was dribbling around. But I wouldn't say necessarily he stole game 7.
It was to me, game 7 felt like a combination of games 1 and 2, where Florida played incredible defensively, but they also had unbelievable Bob.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, the second period was exactly game 1, where Oilers taking it to the Panthers have to feel great, and they come out of it having lost the period 1-0 because one goalie was better than the other. And at some point I'll be over the Reinhart goal in the second period, but goaltending was the difference in the game last night. Do we say the Oilers only scored 1 fucking goal? So I'm seeing a lot of Oilers fans doing the like, don't blame Stu. I don't want to blame Stu. We all fucking know that like half my wardrobe is Stuart Skinner related, but goaltending was the story. If you're going to say, well, the Oilers didn't put up anything to give Stu any sort of protection, it's because they were going up against a goalie who was making some big saves, especially late in that third period. But you know what? I think I haven't rewatched the game yet. Pucks were hitting asses and arms and everything. Like there were so many fucking scrambles in front of the net in the last 10 minutes of that game, including Zach Hyman right on the doorstep. I've never screamed about somebody's handedness more than I did for the rest of that game and for the hours after, where if he just shot the other way, if he was left-handed instead of right-handed, it would have gone to overtime. And who knows, maybe I would have felt even more heartbreak because it would have been an overtime loss. But goaltending was a bigger part of the series than maybe we thought it was going to be, because we went in saying like, hey, it's not going to be a big part of the series. And because we had decided, yeah, we all kind of believe in Stu and we all generally believe in Sergei Bobrovsky. It ends up being early on. Bob's playing great. Stu is just fine. It flips the other way. Bob really lets go of the rope, is falling apart as Stu's getting sharper. And then one game, winner take all. I would say both goalies play well. one goalie allows a bad goal, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, so I know that you have a really hard time with the Reinhart goal.
It was the worst moment of my life, and it was the worst goal that Stu allowed since the second period of Game 3.
I don't think it was that bad. I went back and I watched, and he was screened. It was the only shot that could have been taken there, which is what, like, I see your point. Like, you got to know that he's probably going to try short side on you on that rush. There's really no other option. But it's not some fucking bum ripping that shot. I know Reinhart had a tough series. He scored 57 goals during the regular season. He's got a great shot. It was a good shot. You probably would like a save there, but it wasn't an awful goal. And I think that you said last night
it was an awful goal.
Was the worst goal that was given up in the series.
No, I know it was the worst goal that was given up that Stu allowed since Game 3.
I don't know if he could even see it. Like, he had a lot of traffic in front of him. I'm not going to give him too hard of a time for that goal. To me, again, I said it last night. It's that.
Oh, I just rewatched it. Oh, Pete, it wasn't good.
It wasn't good. It wasn't awful. It's a 57 goal scorer picking his spot on the only shot that he could take.
Picking a spot. There's only one place that was available, and he fucking left it open. It was a really bad goal, but it was one of 2 goals that he allowed in the game.
Yeah.
So, like, how mad can you get? Like, that moment is going to be burned in my brain forever, and it's terrible. But if Zach Hyman scores at the end of the game, if McDavid scores at the end of the game, if Draisaitl scores at some point, there were a lot of, whether it was Draisaitl or other players, they were trying to get that shot, that, like, tough angle shot kind of across Bob, and they nearly missed, like, 4 times. There were a lot of close calls in this game. There's always going to be in a 2-1 game. As a fan, I'm gonna get over it at some point, I'm sure, but that's what's great about this game. When you have a low-scoring 2-1 game, you end up dwelling on those moments, and if you are a fan of the team that won, for example, we make a lot of Bruins references because we're from Boston. 2011, Game 7 against the Lightning, Andrew Ference to David Krejci to Nathan Horton is one of the all-time, oh my God, I can't believe they pulled that off. What a perfect play kind of thing. It was the only goal in the game. And if that doesn't happen, who knows what happens. And Panthers fans were nervous after the first period, which I was like, you guys are nervous? Man.
I mean, if you're not nervous, regardless of what the situation and what the first period looks like, if you are not nervous in a Game 7 of the Stanley Cup
Panthers
Finals,
fans were nervous after that first period where I'm like, oh, you guys are playing great, man, but it's 1-1. It's so close.
Yeah.
The Paul Maurice thing of, like, all these games are close. It's just a bounce here or there. It's a weird little kind of fucky goal. And I said last night, to your point, that history will remember that prolific goal scorer Sam Reinhart scored the game-winning goal.
They will not know.
I'll be able to just smooth over that and say, oh yeah, and then Reinhart came through with that big goal and that big moment and everything, and I'll take enough whatever, like, memory loss drugs I can to forget how it looked, and I'll be happy for Sam Reinhart. Today's episode is brought to you by Shady Rays. How about that? Pete, have you been doing your Shady Rays much at all?
Buddy, we're in Florida. It is very sunny. Hell yeah, I have been.
I popped on my replacement pair of Shady Rays today. I took a stroll to go get some.
That's what you were wearing? I was wondering what glasses you had on. They looked tremendous. And that is not part of the ad read. That is me giving you a compliment, saying that at like 9 in the morning, when you were a corpse of yourself, the outfit that you had on, the glasses that you were wearing, it all worked, baby.
Shady Rays always works. I wear them when I'm outside. I wear them when I'm sleeping. I wear them all the time. And if your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you don't love your shades, exchange them for a new pair, or you can return them worry-free within 30 days. There is no risk when you shop for Shady Rays. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code AC34 or AC35 for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try them for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Sean, if I'm reading correctly, do we also have just say what we also
Our
have.
other friends. Yeah, you know them.
We
know them. Prize Picks.
I saw the also Prize Picks. Just
Yes.
Prize Picks?
Prize
okay,
Picks.
cool.
Yes, our friends at Prize Picks also presenting today's episode. Those boys, America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members. You know them. You love them. So do we. It is the most fun and exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You pick more or pick less on 2 or more player stats for a shot to win up to 100x. Boys, we finished this season going quite some time without 10xing. It is very unfortunate.
Means we're due for WNBA.
WNBA, Major League Baseball, there's many opportunities to 10x.
Baseball is the best sport.
Disagree.
To DFS on.
Full stop, delete.
You took too long to say to DFS on.
I mean,
I disagree with your ballot.
I love baseball. I was just at Game 7 of the Stanley Cup. I'm not gonna say something that crazy, but to DFS on, like when you're looking at like pitch totals and stuff like that.
Well, baseball is such
electric.
a stat-based sport. It is.
It's perfect for
I
something
agree
like
with
this.
that.
Also,
it's also if you're looking for reasons to be more entertained by baseball.
Also that, yes. Having a little bit of an investment in it makes it way more entertaining. Also, just like across the street from Amarant Bank Arena, this was the 10X neighborhood or whatever. Remember that we drove by? There was neighborhood that was just like 10X whatever.
10X living.
10X living, yeah. That's right. That's our neighborhood.
That's going to be us soon, boys. If you're looking for promotions, Prize Picks has got you covered every week, from lowering select players' stat projections on Tuesdays, which increases your chance of getting a win, to getting your entry fees back if you have a losing lineup on Fridays. Prize Picks, they got you covered, and it's a lot of fun. Download the app today and use code WhatChaos for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code WhatChaos for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Everybody, I'm going to do an early soft like spike. Everybody hit like if you can, and subscribe to the YouTube if you are watching us for the first time. And if you're listening, as you usually do on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast, head over to the YouTube and press subscribe. It is free, and it goes a very long way for us. We have a super chat from our dear friend Katie O'Keefe, who throws, I'll be honest, some ducats our way, saying,
boy.
Happy birthday, Pete. I'm going to give it a like myself. What great behavior. Thank you so much. Thanks
Thank
to
you, Katie.
everybody
Much
who is
appreciated.
regularly in here. We love this group so much. I think that with Pete and I have been doing stuff long enough together that we know at the very least, endearing, we will have a passionate base. Panthers, where doesn't matter
It's not
how
the biggest
many
in the league.
Yes, but we will have the best group in the league, and we do. And it's been an amazing season. We'll talk a little more about that in just a little bit. Pete, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I got a couple things.
You have something to fix your fucking lips?
Yesterday, I threw out an earnest tweet. Found like a 10-minute window to kind of just reflect on this season, and doing the show has been the best, and it is legitimately a dream come true, and being able to do it with both you fellas has been amazing. This season has been by far the most I've enjoyed a hockey season in my life, and that's crazy to think about, crazy to say. Yeah, it was an unbelievable season, but this show has become my life. It is perfect. I love it. Appreciate everybody who watches, tunes in. Love you so much. thank you very much for the support and everybody who watched, listened all season long. But before we move on from the goaltending conversation, I do want to say, like, some weird circling back on the what?
We just got a $100 super chat.
Oh, baby.
Whoa. I also got to say, I need to note to everybody, Natalie, thank you so much. Pete,
Shout out.
I did not see your tweet until like an hour before puck drop. You'd had it up for a while, but we were just all grinding, running around and everything, and people were coming up to Pete and being like, hey, you're the fucking best. And I was like, about time. People fucking recognize. And I just hadn't seen it. And obviously I knew the information, but that you put it out there was incredible, because we've been doing shit together for a very long time, and we've been doing it since it was weird if any of us ever brought our real shit into whatever conversation. We had a dear beloved listener die years ago, and we were this is probably like 8-9 years ago or something, and talking about the fact that shit gets hard, shit gets dire, and the things that we as human beings go through felt outrageous to do. And I know that it's becoming more commonplace now when you can throw that shit out there and people are just, it wasn't even like a, hey, you doing okay, bud? It was just like people that are genuinely happy for you, that.
And to like not be like vague, if anybody didn't see it or whatever, like a couple of years ago, I was going through like some really tough shit, and I came very close to killing myself. And it was horrible. And then my mom died right after that, and it was like the hardest time of my life. DJ like came over my house like every day and like sat on the couch and watched stuff that you didn't have any interest in to make sure that I didn't do anything.
I did not know what Succession was, I'll be honest. I've since gotten into it, but I was like, these white people crazy.
So yeah, like DJ knows and has been very close to all of that. And so when I say like being able to do this show is unbelievable, being able to do it with DJ is unbelievable. I've gotten to know Sean. I love Sean. This is the best. Thank you, everybody. I want to talk about goaltending.
Fuck Pete for making me cry when I did. The Oilers didn't make me cry. I got through the last night without a fucking... I was just like, whatever, it's fucking sports. We move on. It's just a fucking stupid game. Didn't even want to win the cup. Whatever. And yeah, dude, Pete, I'm just so fucking happy. And we'd wanted to do this show forever, and we were planning on doing it. And it was like in the back of our minds, we were like, at some point, we're finally gonna be free agenty at the same time, and we're just gonna do it. But when it actually came together, part of me was like, yo, I'm fucking washed. Pete doesn't need to, like, Pete can just like steal this idea and do it with somebody else. I didn't think that you were gonna do that. I would have
never.
I would have tried to beat you up if it happened. But like I said to you, I was like, hey, like, also like, even though this is like our fucking thing, like, thanks for wanting to do this with somebody who, I don't know, 10 years ago, it would have been really fucking cool if like DJ was doing a hockey show with the cool internet kid or whatever. But I don't know. I fucking went away for a while, man. I got boring. I started doing linear shit. You've remained being cool. And I don't know how easy a fucking sell I am. So the fact that you did this with me is the best. But I also know that I know how fucking life works, and we fucking love each other. So I'm also not surprised that you not took a risk or whatever, but just like hitched your wagon to a eccentric, hardworking, albeit like not particularly fucking hot in the streets person.
Yeah, but you're very handsome, so
I will say some of the shots that people were taking me last night, I was like, fuck, like They're gonna fucking lose because I look too good right now.
Also, it was a very cool moment yesterday too, when Sean's awe of being at Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. Like, we had both done it before, and yeah, it never gets old. But seeing somebody get to do it for the first time, and Sean also, like a couple days ago, we had a conversation, and I was like, yo, I cannot believe we're going to Florida. I cannot believe there's going to be a Game 7. And Sean responded like, brother, last year I was doing a fucking baseball podcast. It's
in
all
Arizona.
Of this is weird.
It's crazy. First off, I feel the need. I don't know if you have the chat up, but chat is giving you a lot of love, Pete. So I just wanted to share that with you.
I love them. Love them right back.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is it's pretty crazy. I'm 25 years old, and I was on the ice after Game 7 of the Stanley Cup.
It's a hell of a flex.
Yeah, and it obviously doesn't happen with like a lot of people got me here, but like I had one Zoom call with you guys, and you guys took a chance on me to move out to Boston to be your producer, and I will forever be indebted to you guys for that. And also, you guys like treat me way too nice. I have like multiple jerseys that I shouldn't have because of you guys.
Well, that was the Blackhawks
about-
and the Columbus Blue Jackets.
I will ask, have you ever thought about being like, this is just because I've been 25 before, and I am actively like going broke, fucking flying to Edmonton and doing shit that is not being sold. Have you ever been like, yo, just like, instead of buying me jerseys, just give me like $30 more. Like, just like give me that's like the not to liken you to someone in a terrible situation, but the like just give me, just break me off a 20. Don't give me your fucking like don't give me like a sandwich or a cup of coffee or something. Like, just like fucking give me something that I can decide what to do with.
No, I have never thought
Good,
that.
because we're just getting once I find my wallet, the next thing we're gonna do is get you a Kyle Oposo jersey.
It's weird to now go back to like the goalie take that I wanted to get off before all of this, but like, stop pretending that Sergei Bobrovsky wasn't bad. Like, there's so many people that immediately after the Panthers won the cup, they went back and they were like, hey, check out these old takes. Sergei Bobrovsky, when people were tweeting that he was bad and overpaid, he was bad and overpaid.
The reason I'm happy for Sergei Bobrovsky is because he
it's
got through it. He
It's a
came
redemption
back.
arc.
That is a wonderful thing. I don't want to live in a world where, getting back to our last topic, where when things are bad, that's what it is. They're just bad. It's all a process. I like that, especially for a player who's a little long in the tooth, younger than me, but still long in the tooth, where when they're bad, they've reached they've cratered in their career or something. And not that Bobrovsky was like unplayable, but he wasn't the fucking starting goalie going into the playoffs last year.
Exactly. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, like it was bad. It was bad.
They made the playoffs because of Alex Lyon. Alex Lyon went off in the final month of the season. Like, they trusted that guy more than Sergei Bobrovsky. So, like, I love a redemption arc, but you can't have a redemption arc without somebody going through some hard shit. So, yeah, that was weird. It was weird to see like a bunch of people going back and like celebrating the team's first Stanley Cup by searching old tweets and being like, "Ha, gotcha."
There was
stuff.
some weird shit last night. There was that, and then there was also I saw some of my beloveds saying to people complaining about McDavid winning the Conn Smythe with like, cry, like, we're in your heads or whatever. And I'm like, fuck, we're not in their heads, man. Like, and maybe like, I don't know, even if you do win the cup, I suppose Connor McDavid should always be in all of our heads. But I was like, fuck, we're not really coming from a position of power here. I'm very happy that Sergei Bobrovsky won the Stanley Cup, and I'm very happy that Connor McDavid won the Conn Smythe. But
And in hindsight, with all of the information, no contract, bad contract when you win a Stanley Cup and when you like drive your team to a Stanley Cup.
That's the rule.
Sergei Bobrovsky, good contract. $10 million a year for 7 years. Scared the fucking hell out of me the day they signed it. Looked worse and worse for like a couple years. He has been really good for that team over the past couple of years. Ultimately becomes the guy that they needed him to be to kind of legitimize this team. Ultimately They get to the destination, and suddenly, not a bad contract.
Bill Zito, perfect GM.
He's
Traded a 5th-round draft
unbelievable.
pick for Kyle Oposo.
There you go.
Steal. Unbelievable. We have a lot more super
Steal for
chats.
who?
So I'm just going to try. What are you talking about? Steal for the Panthers. Won a cup.
Yeah.
Stanley
I
Cup
guess.
champ. Oh, I'm sorry. Was Kyle Oposo not in the lineup last night? Did I forget that, Sean?
No, you were right.
Kyle Oposo, what? So using the Sean logic from the McDavid thing, and this is not your logic, but
Kyle
there are
Oposo,
two
Conn Smythe.
possibilities. You trade a 5th-round pick for Kyle Oposo and win the cup, or you don't trade a 5th-round pick for Kyle Oposo and don't win the cup.
I mean, I think you
Right.
could make the argument that if they hadn't traded for Kyle Oposo, they would have won the cup sooner. But I don't do hypotheticals.
If Ryan S. Clark voted with his chest and just straight up disqualified Connor McDavid, Kyle Oposo could have had a 3rd place Conn Smythe vote. It would have been
I wanted. Where
Somebody
were the
said-
OEL Conn Smythe votes? Is what
Somebody
I
in the
want.
chat said, I don't know. I'd still hate the Nurse contract if they won last night. Well,
we're gonna get
Not
to
if
that
he,
in
not
a
if
few
he was
minutes.
a Conn Smythe though.
it's like Bobrovsky drove the Panthers. Nurse was like in the fucking trunk. So
Bobrovsky was in the trunk at points as well. Michael Maroney, this one pulls at my heartstrings. Revolution fan, New England Revolution fan, just thanking you guys for turning me on to hockey. Great season, no notes. Michael, thank you for finding us. Go Revs, 4 in a row. Oh, we love a team that can win 4 games in a row, don't we? Taylor H says, been fun as hell. You guys rock. Grats on a hell of a first season. Olivia just gives $4.20 and says, kiss.
Smoke
I don't
weed
know
every
if
day.
that is a command or what. Love of your life says, the real gay kiss on the ice were the friends we made. That I didn't need to say was from the love of your life, but was extremely from the love of your life. Christine says, great first season. Tessa says, sending love for making this an incredible season. So many. We love the super chats. We love all the chats. Sheriff Sean hasn't had to be too busy. Is that right, Sean? You haven't had to shoot that many people, have you?
I have not. The thing that makes me sad is that final/immortal boss isn't here. Like he was reveling in the tears of fans all playoffs, and I thought he was going to be here to celebrate, and he's not.
Well, we have to discuss. We're going to have lots of Oilers content coming, we promise. But as we have not in a while done one of our favorite segments, the Shady Rays, the Future is Bright segment, it felt appropriate to do today. So let's put on our rose-colored sunglasses and explain to the people why the future is bright for the Edmonton Oilers. Brought to you by Shady Rays.
Okay, yeah.
Head to shadyrays.com and use code AC35 at checkout for 35% off polarized sunglasses. What's your problem?
I thought that we were going to set up this segment with the. I always like the discussion of, hey, future is bright. Who's got the better chance to be back here next year, Oilers or Panthers?
Oh, okay. Well, that's it's a sponsored segment, so we just had to say that thing. But I think the Oilers are going to be the betting favorite to win the Cup next year.
I don't think that
DFSing favorite.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sure that they already came out with next year's odds, and I don't think that they are the betting favorites.
Sean, hit
I
me.
think they're plus 1,000 right
Wow.
now. So I
Who do you think has a better chance?
think Florida's roster is more in flux. They got some expiring guys, Sam Reinhart among them. He might have earned himself some more money last night.
So that's another one. I saw that tweet from you again, thankfully later. If I saw that tweet in the moment, I would have turned to you and fucking punched your lights out at the Sam Reinhart just earned himself some more money. If GMs look at that goal and are like, that's the guy we need, fuck those GMs. Look at any of his other goals.
You can't say that and then also say
He scored the game-winning goal in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final.
But if the fucking puck goes off Zach Hyman's dick and he scores the game-winning goal, no one's going to be like, that's
You're in
the...
the ice.
But you also like GMs are notoriously stupid, and you keep making the point that Dakota Joshua is going to get
make
overpaid
so much money. Yeah,
because of his
like Matt
playoff
Bolesky.
performance.
Yeah,
Like, there's a lot of recency bias in that, especially when it's a goal scorer.
You don't think there's going to be multiple people in rooms across 31, I guess, NHL franchises, and that say, man, that guy scored the game-winning goal.
I think that they will use it as a selling point when they sign the player. But I think that any manager, they've made their evaluations long before they have all their fucking things ready to go. The free agency starts in less than a week. They have already made their decisions on whether they are going after Sam Reinhart, what kind of contract they're going to give him. The fact that he scored this goal isn't going to.
Okay, yeah, but front offices, sure. There are executives above the front office that are going to insert themselves in meetings across the league, ownership, and are going to. There are owners that would be like, that guy scored the game-winning goal in Game 7. Let's go get that guy. And people, I guarantee there will be executives that be like, he's going to be more expensive than we're more comfortable paying. And then I would be willing to bet some owners would be like, don't care, give him some money.
I also think it's important that he did that because he really had not been good in the Stanley Cup final. And so I think it might help people sleep a little better at night to know that he's not like, he scored a big goal when it mattered. And so he didn't like just completely disappear in the Stanley Cup final.
So let's say it more saved the contract that he was going to get.
Okay, yeah,
I think there might have been some
put the
doubt
money
creeping
back in his pocket that may have been taken out.
Peter, it affected the way that he will be paid.
Speaking on how people get paid, the Florida Panthers and the Dallas Stars are currently tied for favorite to win the Stanley Cup at plus 900. Edmonton Oilers plus 950.
Okay, I can respect all those. I can definitely respect the Stars thing.
So that's a three-way tie after that between the Rangers, Avalanche, and Carolina Hurricanes.
Notable UFAs for the Oilers. Number one, I'll say Ken Holland. So Jeff Jackson will have some work as he figures out how this next iteration of the team will be assembled. But notable UFAs: Adam Henrique, Connor Brown, Matthias Janmark, Vinny Desharnais. There are others as well, of course, Sam Carrick among them. But those are the main ones, the highlights. But the biggest thing this offseason is that starting Monday, the Oilers can sign Leon Draisaitl, who will turn 29, I believe, in October, to an 8-year contract extension. Who knows if that happens right on Monday, but that's where the Oilers stand. They got 2 more years of cheap Stu Skinner. He's making $2.6 million a year. That's great. I would say, though, what really keeps the future bright for them is the Hyman contract, 4 more years at $5.5 million per. There is some money that ideally they'd like to move. Jack Campbell has 3 more years at $5 million per. And a big question can be, do they try to maybe do something with Darnell Nurse, who's got 6 more years at $9.25 million a season?
Well, just outside of the cap-friendly breakdown, I think that there are a lot of things that you can take from this Oilers season and say, this could be the start of, this window here. And you obviously look at the way this playoff run went. You got to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final with Leon Draisaitl just being an absolute shell of himself. And for a team that has largely been carried by 2 dominant players, we're going to find out that Leon Draisaitl is basically a corpse in the next few days. The fact that they got that far with Leon being not Leon, not even close to Leon, very encouraging. Obviously, you have more faith in the goaltender of the future with Stu Skinner now, Chris Knobloch, Mark Stewart, Paul Coffey. The work that they did with that team since taking over, incredible. Definitely gives you a lot of encouragement. You're starting to see guys like Dylan Holloway, Philip Broberg, Evan Bouchard, like the younger guys. I know Bouchard's been around for a bit now, but like they've got that next wave coming up, and those guys have had an impact. They got depth contributions more than what we expected through a lot of these playoffs. I think they can improve in that department. I think they can solidify both the forward group and the defensive group, and it doesn't need to be massive swings. They can get plug-and-play guys and improve. There's a lot of reason to be very confident and very encouraged by the future of the Oilers. The one thing that you do want to figure out, Draisaitl, fucking obviously, McDavid a year beyond Draisaitl contract-wise, but if they don't get the Draisaitl contract extension, how much fucking pressure does that put on them to go make some swings next year in terms of acquisitions at the deadline if they're kind of on the bubble or need to solidify? Like next year, the Oilers should be in very good position.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have a lot of ammunition if they want to try to go all in this year. I'll say that. They don't have a first-round pick, a third-round pick, or a fourth-round pick. They do have a 2025 first, don't have a 2025 second. They could make moves if they wanted to. I think a big sneaky thing for me for the Oilers is, as you plan long-term, you need an Ekholm replacement. And maybe you hope that ends up being Broberg, big boy. Him emerging in the postseason has been massive up front. You mentioned Holloway. Him emerging has been massive. They are filling out. Obviously, they have the star power, but they are finally kind of filling it out with some of their recent high draft picks. So that's a good thing for them. The money, though, is where it's going to get tricky.
Yeah.
Just like, what do you do with Nurse? What do you do with Campbell? What do you do? I don't want to make this a pessimistic Oilers conversation, but the Bouchard thing is going to be really interesting. Like what? I mean, I believe you can extend him starting Monday as well, right? Let me see. He's got one more year. Yeah, you can extend him starting Monday.
What are the chances, though, that they extend McDavid, Draisaitl, and Bouchard?
It's tough to do when you've got basically $15 million, $14 million tied up in players who I feel bad for Nurse, but he's like underperforms relative to that contract on a good day. Future's still bright, though, because as long as you have McDavid and Draisaitl, which we expect they will, plus Zach Hyman on a good contract, they have good contracts that help soften the blow of some of the bad contracts. But they're going to have work to do. And speaking of moving players, Linus Ullmark traded from the Boston Bruins to the Ottawa Senators. The 30-year-old reigning Vezina winner, still for a few more days, has 1 year left at $5 million. I feel like I need to remind people that Linus Ullmark is an unbelievable player. He has had a .915 save percentage for the last 5 years, including 2 years ago was the Vezina winner. Really, really good player.
Even more impressive than winning the Vezina was having like a .915. I believe he was .920 in his final year in Buffalo on a fucking god-awful team.
Yeah.
Like, that might be more impressive than winning the Vezina, is having a .920 save percentage in Buffalo.
So the Bruins receive in this trade their own first-round pick, which had been moved around, number 25 overall. They also get forward Mark Kastelik, who should note for Bruins fans is tall, and they get goaltender Jonas Korpisalo, 30 years old, has 4 years left of a bad contract. Senators are retaining $1 million a year, but it means the Bruins will be paying $3 million a year to a player who had an .890 save percentage last year. This is a trade that, before the details emerged, our friends, the Powers brothers, were saying, no bueno. Bruins fans are not going to be happy when they see the return. And my thought was maybe it just means that they didn't get Chychrun or a first-round pick. Chychrun, I didn't really care about a first-round pick. I'm like, yeah, I'd be pretty bummed if they didn't get a first-round pick, even though their options were limited. He's got a no trade. He could get in the way of stuff. And just there aren't a lot of teams looking to trade for goalies. Goalie prices, as we know, are basically quail prices, not oil prices. You just don't get a lot for them in the trade market. And I was like, you know what? This trade's going to the details are going to come out, and I'm going to say, not that bad. We were both kind of feeling pretty optimistic about it. We saw they're getting the 25th overall pick. It's just the 25th overall pick. That's fucking fine. Whatever. It's the Korpisalo edition that really makes you scratch your head.
Yeah, that's exactly kind of where I land, is that I was already bracing for the Ullmark trade, obviously. I was bracing for the return to be underwhelming, but taking on a contract that is, at best, a risk for a goaltender for the next 3 years, and it's going to be at $3 million, which is not 4 years. $3 million for the next 4 years for a guy who has really been up and down. He's been good at points, but Jonas Korpisalo paying $3 million for 4 years when you've got a guy like Jeremy Swayman in front of him, presuming that they're going to give him a contract extension fucking fingers crossed there. I don't understand assuming that risk. I don't know. Like, did you have to take him to get the first round pick? Is your plan to maybe double retain and get another pick back? Because he's at $3 million right now. If the Bruins flip him and retain maybe up to 50%, maybe there's a team that's willing to take Korpisalo for $1.5 million and give up a decent round pick.
Why though? Like, Korpisalo has, dare I say, like, I'm trying to. No, I was going to look up. I was like, was he the first overall pick a year that I'm forgetting or something? And obviously not first overall. I'm like, but does this guy have pedigree? He was a second round pick, which whatever, that's fine. But the only time I can remember Jonas Korpisalo being good, correct me if I'm wrong, is like he was okay after going to the Kings last year. Yeah. And then he wasn't very good in the playoffs. So like, we're talking, he played 11 games for the Kings in the regular season. And then I never understood why he got that contract.
Yeah, so
I just did the like thing,
but with like the Kings, they play a solid defensive game, solid structure, and he was good for them. Maybe the Bruins see him as a guy like Ullmark. When Ullmark signed his deal here, people were like, "Well, that is confusing. Swayman seems like the guy. Why are you giving Ullmark 4 years at similar-ish money to Korpisalo?" And it ended up working out. And it ended up being a guy that they evaluated who could be better behind a really good defense. Maybe that's what they see. But then the question becomes, do they not like Brandon Bussey? Because Brandon Bussey has been seemingly in line to take that backup job. And kind of seems like he deserves it at this point.
They never like their young up-and-coming goaltenders because the one thing that can sink you as a GM is not making the playoffs. Talk about that all the time. You just, especially in Boston, you just keep your job as long as you make the playoffs, get some playoff gates. And if Jeremy Swayman gets hurt, then they don't want this to be left. I mean, it's the same reason like they had Jeremy Swayman to play with Tuukka Rask and they signed Linus Ullmark. It was a head scratch to play with or replace Tuukka Rask, and they signed Linus Ullmark. And then after they signed Linus Ullmark, when they had the Swayman-Ullmark tandem, they signed Tuukka Rask and sent Jeremy Swayman down. They are going to prioritize goaltending, and that's what makes this a head scratcher to me, though, is if you're going to prioritize goaltending so much and you're going to be paying your backup goaltender $3 million, shouldn't you just pay your Vezina winner $5 million, a difference of $2. Like, I can find you.
Maybe
Mike
like
Felger would say, just get me a cocktail napkin in 5 minutes, and I can make $2 million for you on the Bruins cap.
Sure, but you're also talking about getting a first round pick. You're talking about getting more term. You're talking about getting another player who can play down the middle. Like, I can understand it. I just don't like the assumed risk of 4 years at $3 million. Like, I don't think that that's necessary.
I don't know a person who likes this trade for the Bruins. Like, really, like beat writers, national people, like everybody thinks it's a bad deal, which would make me think the Bruins hopefully understand it's a bad deal. But once
maybe they just like really like former Blue Jackets players that kind of get too much money, because Andrew Peak, they went out and got him.
Rick Nash,
Korpisalo. I don't know. It's weird to me.
Johnny Gaudreau trade when? That'd be so fucking cool. I was thinking about, for some reason, I was thinking about like who signed Sam Reinhart. I was like, what if the Bruins were like, yo, we're just gonna be fucky as hell. Fuck centers. We're just gonna we're gonna get Reinhart. We're gonna have Marchand. We're gonna have Pasternak. We're gonna trade for Mitch Marner, and that is we will flank the enemy.
It's a weird trade. I'm waiting to see if there's like another piece to it and what follows here. I'm not going to trash Korpisalo. I think like maybe under Bob Essenza, he's kind of finds resurgence here and it ends up looking like a genius move. It's confusing right now. It's not what I expected them to do. I'm happy if Linus Ullmark is happy. I did talk to Linus Ullmark, and it seems like he very much has the energy of happy this thing is coming to an end.
Yeah.
And Also, did talk to Brady Tkachuk last night on the ice and was hey, take care of our pal Linus. And he seemed very excited that Linus Ullmark is heading to Ottawa. So I love Linus Ullmark, man. And I don't think that's any big shock to anybody who listens to the show, who follows either one of us. We've gotten to know him a bit over the past couple of years. He is truly a fucking delight.
Heart of gold.
He is incredible. I'm hoping that we can talk to him in the next couple of days and get his thoughts on all of this stuff. But sad to see him go. Heartbroken that the goalie hugs are over. Truly, I know that the Bruins have, in a team sense, kind of disappointed in terms of not winning more in the playoffs over the past couple of years. But seeing Ullmark and Swayman and their relationship and how good the room has been and how much of those two guys have been at the center of it, it's been awesome. They'll always have like a really, really soft spot in my heart because I fucking love those guys.
Let's wrap with some more super chats and a like spike. Love you guys, says Mikey P. And the show, as someone who works for a crisis team, watching your show on my breaks makes my days 100x better and easier. Love you, Pete. Thanks for sharing your story. Also got Ambassador to Greece, who's been riding with us all season, says amazing season of a show made by 3 amazing people. Love y'all. And that's it. Those are the only people who like us. Thank you to everybody who has been in the chat. We weren't able to monitor it as closely today, but Sean, you setting up the monitors the way that you have, like whenever in my past life and radio career, I was a big don't look at the text machine guy. I was like, this is fruitless. It can only be bad. And yes, it probably gets us a little off track at points, but the conversation that you have with us is always so amazing. So thank you very much to everybody who chats. And really, I don't even think you need us sometimes during the chat. And that's why our Discord is so good, because you have great conversations with each other. We'll peek over at it every now and then. If we're deep in conversation, we'll be like, all right, they're entertaining themselves. They don't need whatever we're talking about. Sean explained to us why they're doing this, and he'll tell us why. Pete, hit him with a like spike.
Hit that thumbs up button right below the video player. It is the like button. And if you all hit it at the same time, that's called the like spike. And let's see how high we can drive that number. We love to see it go up. It's at 69 right now, at least on my screen. So maybe don't. No, I'm just kidding. Sex is cool, but maybe more likes is better. If you're not
Ariana Grande.
Ariana on my Grande until I win
Sean,
the Stanley Cup.
He says 69. I say Ariana Grande. Nobody? Anybody in the chat?
I know that she has that song about 69ing, but
it's called 3435.
And
then at the end of the song, she was like, by the way, this, in case anybody didn't get it, this is about 69ing. And I was
I'm so out on Ariana Grande. I really am so out on Ariana Grande. She
everybody check the YouTube, please. We at long last put together a passion piece that was part of the sales pitch for this show. When we were taking meetings to get funding for this show, they would say, so what's this about? And we'd say, hold it right there. And they'd be like, we just asked the question. We're done talking. We'd say, hey, quiet. Do you know that Ariana Grande claims to have been hit by 2 pucks at Panthers games? And then we'd give the whole thing. We want to make this video forever. We just hadn't been able to come to Florida. And now that we did, we finally made it. So check that out, please.
Somebody said no Marullo talk. Or is it Morello? Morello, right?
There's been enough Morello talk.
No, I disagree. I do want to have something to say. Fucking so long, bozo. That's your Morello talk. Get the fuck out of here. We hate that guy.
Craig Morgan, I believe, reported that they are aware of at least 2 groups interested in bringing an expansion franchise to Arizona. So I don't think it's the death of hockey in Arizona necessarily.
Good, yeah.
And if Arizona can figure out a way to have a hockey team without Alex Morello involved, that's best for everybody involved, regardless of what team you root for, what team you work for or play for. It's best for the NHL. Got one more super chat.
Late breaking super chat from Mike says, we love you guys. Thanks for a great season. Dags on me.
Yeah, I love Mike. He's the best.
Mike is just
Dags and Jimmy's Mike. As soon as we get back,
we should do a Jimmy's dinner.
Yes,
we should go to Jimmy's with Sean, with Mike.
Yes,
and with the love of your life.
Alex said that was all they needed. That's all they needed on the Morello talk. Is so long, bozo.
All right, great. This is not the final episode of the season. We are heading to Vegas today. We will be at the NHL draft. We'll have shows the rest of this week. And then I believe the plan is not solidified, but we'll have a few shows at the beginning of next week on free agency.
Yeah, we're going to have a big free agency thing, and the rest, you know where to find us. We're going to have a lot coming, obviously. So
this episode had like big, like, see you later, we're done for the summer energy. So I just wanted to clarify that this is not the last episode. It is the final episode on a hockey game of the season.
Late breaking super chat from Stacy Faye says, thank you for everything. Stacy, thank you so much. People discussing that they're going to name their first children What Chaos. It's the love of your life who says that. Of course, it's the love of your life who says that. We love you all. Thank you so much for all the super chats and for the conversation and just for spending as much time with us as you have this season. We're going to talk to you tomorrow anyway, and you know where to find us on socials and everything. Smash every button you can. We love you. Bye, everybody.
We all silly like the mayor.